Hi everyone, Mike Freedman from AI Technology and Design, back with another day of technology in our 30 Days of Technology series. Hey, what if I told you there was some cool technology that you could put in your home that could do anything from make you a better chef to cure your insomnia? Well, there is, and we're going to talk about it today because we're talking about Levo. All right, so first question is, what is a Levo machine? And it's an all-in-one, easy-to-use product. It's app-based, and it takes all of the guesswork out of infusing things so you can focus on the end results of what you're trying to do instead of the process and your technique. So it lets you infuse things like herbs and botanicals to oil or fat. So things like rosemary and olive oil together as an example, which, by the way, I use on all my roasts, on the outside of my roast, with a little bit of rock salt. Oh my goodness, is it amazing. So that's what a Levo oil machine does. It just takes your herbs or botanicals and infuses it in oil in a way that makes it ready to use and creates a commercial quality end result. All right, I want to talk to you a little about some of the benefits of infusing because there are a few. There are actually two big ones that I'm going to put to you. The first has to do with your cooking and the quality of the finished product you're making in your own kitchen. So a lot of people don't know this, but professional chefs in restaurants use different techniques than we use at home. It's not like they're just doing it on a broader scale or cooking more. They do things differently, and they have a lot more knowledge about the chemistry of what happens when we do certain things with food and how to make it taste better. So a lot of them use infused oils and things like that in their kitchen. So that's a big chef secret I just told you right there. So earlier I was talking about using rosemary oil on my roast. I make garlic oil. I have all sorts of different flavors of oil that I infuse when I'm cooking, and it creates great end results. And the other nice thing is I don't have to use as much salt or other preservatives or anything else like that, because the flavoring that comes from that really enhances the food and takes it up a notch without having to resort to things like too much salt, which as we get older, our doctors will tell us we shouldn't have as much of. If you haven't already had that conversation, remember this day because it will be coming. Now, the other one I want to talk to you about is this. Some of the things that you can infuse, people use medically, and cannabis is one of them. If you're using it for things like that, being able to create a topical that you can rub on your skin, so for things like joint pain or arthritis or anything like that, or an edible product that you can ingest at night or bake or any number of things, that's huge because that helps people deal with their problems in a very natural way. All right, so now that we know what infusion is and maybe some of the benefits of it, let's talk about some of the things that you can infuse with your Levo machine. Now, this is kind of a two-parter because you need two things to be successful. You need a botanical or herb to infuse, and you also need the oil to infuse it into as well. So let's talk about the herbs. I mean, there are the basic ones: rosemary, basil depending on where you live, vanilla, citrus, garlic, and lots of others. And the other one I want to talk to you about is, if it's legal where you live, and we live in Canada and it is, you can also infuse cannabis. Whether you're using it for recreational medical purposes, we're not here to judge you for it. The nice part about it is you do now have that flexibility. Now, the next part are the oils. Now, I like to infuse my flavors in olive oil. And the reason I do that is it's got a much higher smoke point than butter. So I don't want to scorch my butter. That being said, I like to cook a perfect steak and I do infuse butter. I like to do compound butters, but infusing butter with garlic and a bit of rosemary or whatever kind of herb you like in there creates this magical substance that, you put some of that on a piece of steak when it first comes out, you're laughing. But there's all sorts of different oils you can use: olive oil, canola oil, butter, MCT, almond oil, honey, milk even. Like, there's all sorts of things you can infuse. So you have to figure out that part as well. But the nice part is the Levo app actually helps you, and it actually breaks out what you're infusing and what you're infusing it into. And when you go through those things on the app, it actually tells you everything you need to set your machine to. So there's zero guesswork. You just have to figure out what you want to do, and Levo will make it easy for the rest. At this point, we spent a lot of time talking about some of the benefits of this machine. I want to talk to you about how this machine actually works. It's incredibly easy to do. When we get down to brass tacks, there are 3 things this machine does. It can dry, activate, and infuse. And I'm going to explain what each of those are now. Drying is not a hard one to figure out. It removes a lot of the excess water in your herbs, your botanicals, your plants. This is important because you don't want water in your infusion. Oil and water don't mix. You should already know this, but in case you didn't, they don't mix. So the more water you have, the less likely you're going to create a texture, potency, and consistency that you're looking for. So a lot of the herbs you can use, you simply dry them out for a half hour or whatever the guidelines suggest. It's all in the app, so it's no guesswork for you, and it's ready to go. The second part is the activation part. Now, you're not going to have to activate rosemary or vanilla beans, but if you are using medical cannabis and you want to have the THC portion of it work, you have to activate it because it is heat activated, which is why a lot of people take it by smoking it. But smoking's not really a healthy way to do so, so if you heat it up a different way, say with the Levo machine, you'll get all the benefits of that without wrecking your lungs in the process as well. So if you're looking to enable the psychoactive properties of cannabis, this is a great way to do it. And the other thing that I like about it is I have friends who use this recreationally, and I've been over to their house when they're using it, and it doesn't stink up their house at all, which is really important, especially if you live in multi-density, you have neighbors, there's kids around. You don't want those questions, you don't want those complaints. So the machine keeps it nice and clean. It doesn't stink like in the old days when people, like I had a neighbor who used to make butter every month and the whole neighborhood stunk. That's not a problem this way. And the last part is the infusion part of it. So the machine works very simply. Whatever you're going to dry, infuse, activate goes into one of their pods. The pod goes in the machine and you do the first 2, the drying and the activating. Once those are done, you add your oil and you pick whatever kind of oil you want, whatever kind of product you want to add to it. You close the lid, you set the timer, you set the temperature, and by the way, the app tells you everything. You don't have to remember or think of anything. And you press start. And if whether you set it for 1 hour, 3 hours, 10 hours, whatever, you walk away. It'll make a nice little noise when it's all done and let you know it's done and it's ready to use. It's literally that easy. Levo makes a few different models. They used to make another one they've discontinued. Their newest model is called the Levo 2, and that's their core base machine. And for a lot of people, that's all they're ever going to need. It does everything I described. It's incredibly easy to use. They come in a myriad of different colors, so you can customize it to your space. And any issues you have, you can get support on the app or from Levo directly. Great little machine, and it's great for most people. Now, if you're doing larger batches or in a commercial capacity, let's say you're infusing a bunch of oil for your restaurant, they make a product called the Levo C, which is a much, much bigger capacity version of the standard Levo oil machine. So if you got to do a lot of oil, this is the way to do it versus running minimal amounts in smaller batches. And finally, they make a more deluxe version called the Levo Luxe. It's a nicer looking version. It has a few more features, and it's designed for someone who's looking for the finer things in life. It's a beautiful looking machine, but all of them work the same. That is to say, really, really well. And Levo also has another added bonus as well. They have everything else you need to get started. They have cookbooks, they have candy making kits, baking kits, recipes, oils, accessories, pans for making brownies, whatever you need, they have it right there. So not only are you going to get great support throughout the journey, in one place, you can get everything you need to make anything you want.